Hey guys, insight number 2 here. Now again, I remind you, I prayerfully select what to talk about, as in what's going to be more helpful to you. So, this particular one is found in both Mark 5 and Luke 8. And we're going to focus mostly on the Luke 8 version, but the Mark 5 version gives a better description, probably because he was there and was told to write it down. As we know, he was like the on-site journalist. So he would have seen it, whereas Luke goes back and asks people around what happened, interviews them that way. He's kind of the follow-up journalist. So you put both accounts together and you get a really good picture. So Mark 5 for a good description of what was going on with this individual, but Luke 8 gives us a better encompassed story. So we're going to be in Luke 8, but keep Mark 5 in mind too. Some of the things I'll talk about are in Mark rather than Luke. So if you can't find them in Luke, they'll be in Mark. All right. So this is about the man he's going to cast out, and we read this last week, I think, in Matthew, but didn't cover it. So we're covering it this week. So this is a modern day. You can apply this to addiction, people suffering with things other than Christ-like behavior. Not that you have to cast out evil spirits from them. They might not have that. It just might be, because a lot of people still think depression's an evil spirit. I'm like, no. Depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain. Does not mean you have an evil spirit in you. Some big misconceptions there. So this is just, but you can apply this story to modern day addiction, because we don't see so many people these days. Well, maybe not in our countries that I've seen. I've not witnessed or heard of people being possessed by spirits, but it can still happen. And we just use our faith in Christ and our covenants we've made with Him to protect us. And as long as we do that, then we're fine. We're not going to be possessed by spirits. But you never know, right? You never know what this man's history was. We don't know where he came from or what happened to him. But when they arrived in this place, it was, this is after the storm where he fell asleep. We talked about that last week. So they get out of the boat after this, and they're there in the country of the Gadarenes, or it's like on the other side of Galilee. So over against Galilee, it says in 26. And they went forth, and there's this guy who had devils long time, it says. He didn't wear clothes. He didn't live in a house, but in the tombs. He'd been, if you look at Mark 5, it'll tell you that he was chained up, that he would go into that, because they just didn't know what to do with him, I guess. They just chained him up and we don't know what to do, because he keeps cutting himself. He keeps self-harming. He's just this crazy man that we've tried to help. And it's just not working. And so we don't know what to do with him. So we're just training him up in a cave, and every now and then we go throw some food so he doesn't starve. So this guy was a mess. He must have stunk. He would have been scarred. It just, scary looking. And most people would run away. Does Jesus? Of course not. But when he saw Jesus, this is the man, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice says, "What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not." And Jesus already knows this guy is filled with possessed spirits, like ones that didn't get a body, that decided to follow Satan. And they know who Christ is, and they're they're probably thinking oh my gosh, we're in for it now, we're done for, this is bad, we've been tormenting this guy to go and torment the area, and now Christ has come and we're done for. So they basically plead after Jesus says to them, "What is thy name?" And he replies, "Legion." Now, legion here, historically, scripturally, would mean 6,000 evil entities. That's what legion is meant. So whether the 6,000 is symbolic of just a lot, or whether it is actually a group of 6,000, I don't know. But yeah, it's a lot. And they're tormenting him and had entered into him. So some are possessing him and some are just hanging around him. But he answered, "Legion." And they besought, look, there's a whole bunch of swine over there. Just cast us out into that, and we'll be gone, And a lot of people get caught up on like the cruelty to the pigs, and yeah, it would have been horrible. But there's a deeper lesson here, so let's look at that. Because, Christ, of course, would compensate the pigs 100%. Probably went on to have really good lives. And, we're not exactly all vegetarians now, are we? So there we go. So there, he cast them out of the devils, and they entered into the swine, and ran violently down and into the water, and drowned. So they were gone. But the people that were around him saw what they'd done, and they fled and told it into the city and the country. Like, oh my gosh, he's healed this man. He's cast out all these. And then in 35, and this is really good. Then they went out to see what was done. They came out because they heard this had happened, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, let's go have a look, because that's what we do as humans. We like to be curious. And they came to Jesus and found the man out of whom the devils were departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. They were afraid because this is miraculous healing. This is huge. And yeah, so it's like, by what means he that was possessed of the devils was healed? Like, how did this happen? So Jesus goes on to tell them, this is how it happened, and the man with the devils departed, and actually said, Jesus, stay with me. Like, I don't want this to happen again. And Jesus says to him in 39, return to thine own house, and show how great things God hath done unto thee. And he went his way and published throughout the whole city how great things Jesus had done unto him. And it came to pass that when Jesus was returned, the people gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him, because of the testimony of this man. And they knew what had happened to him, and that he's now fine. So the point I want to make here is, this is for any child that's lost, and I mean any child of God that's lost, whether it's to possession of spirits, through anything. This is how to treat them. You don't chain them up in a cave and throw food at them occasionally. And there's many of us have been treated badly for years, not myself specifically that bad, but I know a number of unwell people that have just not been treated the best. You just get put into that too hard basket, and I don't know how to deal with you. I don't even know how to talk to you, so I'm just going to ignore you completely. Do you think that makes it better? No, it really doesn't. There's much better solutions. Again, this is about ministering and how to do it with Christ-like love. So, it's not about solving the world issues. Did Jesus solve the world issues here? No, he didn't. What did he do, though? It's loving each person in their need. This was the guy's need, and he met him in his need and helped him and loved him in his need. He reminds you who you are. And how does he do that? Often it's simple. In this case, it started with clothes. Do you notice that? When they came back, this man who had previously been naked was now clothed and in his right mind. He was okay. And he was like, this is awesome. I'm no longer tormented by these spirits, and I'm dressed. I feel a whole lot more human. I'm remembering who I am, whose I am, and I want to stay with you, Christ. And that's when Christ says, that's fantastic, but you can go and do a whole lot more good if you do this. So, how do you make someone better? Do you point out all their faults? No. You love them, just like Christ did, and they themselves will heal because they have that love. It works every time. Promise you. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it's quicker. Others it can take years. But what are we required to do? We're required to love our neighbour, no matter what. He didn't say love the neighbours you like, or love the neighbours that shower every day. No. Love thy neighbour. Full stop. So think about that. Now, Ella Renlund, he said, let us fully mirror his love and love each other so openly and completely that no one feels abandoned, alone, or hopeless. And that's what we need to do. So, again, about ministering more completely and in a Christ-like way. So there's a really good one over there. But this one, it just starts with giving him some clothes. After he's done the miracle, give the clothes. In our instance, we often don't need to do the miracle. The miracles happen, but we can come in. We can be the clothes giver. We can be the helper in all sorts of different ways. We can even just be that friendly face saying, it's okay, I'll sit with you. There's a whole lot of things we can do. So, yeah. Love thy neighbour. All right. hang around for the third one. We're going to go to Mark 5, and I'm going to call it Mark 5 Part 1 because it goes in 3 parts. I'll see you there.